Per Michael Gelkin, Cowboys were in the mix yesterday, for running back Zach Moss. A person familiar with the discussion said, ultimately, the price extended past their comfort point. Moss agreed with Bengals on a 2-year, $8 million contract that includes $4.5 million earnings this year, which I bet that's probably what he's going to get total. So, Zach Moss was too expensive, Cowboys Nation. No. You cannot pay. Doesn't shock me. We did the running back free agency primer, was it last week or whatever? And y'all remember, if you don't, it was very quick. But throughout that whole entire thing, I was building up saying, hey, man, we're not going to spend a whole lot of money at this position. Obviously, they'll look at that position, but I don't think they're going to spend a whole lot of money at that position. Now, we were talking about mostly the $8, $9, $10, $11 million type deals. But if you remember, I did say this. What about the price? Another cheap guy. Spotrac has him at 1 year, $3.5 million roughly. PFF has him at 2 years, $3.5 million roughly, $4 million guaranteed. Believe it or not, that number for the Cowboys still feels a little high. But it's hard to get that much cheaper unless you go J.K. Dobbins. Shouldn't shock anyone. If you're rocking, it shouldn't shock you. And it's because I don't know, I think I responded to somebody that hit me up the other day. I think it was yesterday. Like, hey, man, it's really easy to see their move. They put it out there. They don't change. It's not difficult to kind of predict what they're going to do because they've laid that out there for quite some time, and they have not changed. Now, something that popped up yesterday in my head when I was on Vach's show, where we were talking about this running back situation, and it did not strike me until it just did at that point. Now, if it did prior, I would have been talking to you guys about this. But this is the first time the Cowboys find themselves in no man's land at running back since 2015. And one can argue, granted, we're not done. Free agency still, they signed who they signed then. One can argue they were actually set up a little bit better then. What do you mean, Sky? So 2014, DeMarco Murray, who they drafted in 2011, 10, somewhere around there. So they DeMarco Murray goes on an MVP run, leads the league, breaks the all-time rushing record for the Cowboys in a single season. And now it's a battle between Philly and DeMarco Murray. He chooses Philly, gets the bag, does not work out there. Dallas says, okay, we're just going to roll with Joe Randall, right? But I know that sounds funny now, but Joseph Randall had been the backup there for a little bit. Joe Randall steps up. They signed DMC. Actually was not a bad situation. Just Joe Randall likes to steal draws, and he stole draws. Yeah, he's a knucklehead. He don't listen and got rid of him. DMC rushes for 1,000 yards that season. He wasn't amazing, but he rushed for 1,000 yards. It is what it is. They also signed Christine Michael, and it was a cluster F until they figured out, all right, we're just going to roll with DMC. Then they drafted Zeke the next year. Zeke, 3 years later, Zeke and TP. So they were pretty much set from 2016 to 2023 at running back in a way. Now they're back in no man's land. And again, I'd argue worse than 2015 because they don't have a Joe Randall. Now they can go out and get a DMC, and they probably will. They probably will. But they will not. What they will not do is pay a lot of money at the position. Now, running back for me, y'all know how I feel about it as I'm trying to mess with my earpiece here. Running back for me is still more about the how. I'm all about that, but I also do understand you got to have somebody back there that you feel confident in, right? The Cowboys have nobody. They literally just have a satellite back in the backfield. So we got to do something at the position.